Greetings, family. This is IyapoNgina, also known as the Rogue Black Girl. And as promised, I am going to it's not going to be long. I'm going to do a short video on 7 ways that you can boost your immune system without spending much, if any, money at all. And the reason I'm doing this is because, like I think everyone else at this juncture, we're kind of exhausted on the whole scare around the coronavirus. And so I made up my mind I wasn't going to do a video. But in this video, I am not going to cover any conspiracy theories, none of the political implications of the timing of this impeccable virus, of the declaration of a national emergency, the shutting down of institutions, schools, and what have you. There's a ton of political implications, and this could be an hour or 2 long video. What I am going to do is challenge you to take advantage of 1, 2, if not all 7 of these very easy things that you can do to boost your immune system. Okay? So people have been posting for weeks now about natural remedies, natural ways to boost your immune system, anything from turmeric to ginger, all of these, herbs, which is great. That's cool. But I think a lot of the time we lose sight of the activities that we can participate in that boost our immune system. And when we're in the grip of a national scare, I think all but maybe one of these activities, we are almost automatically inclined not to participate in. The very life-saving activities, the very immune-boosting activities that can rescue us, that can prevent us from falling victim to this terrible microorganism, right? This vicious little tyrant that has gripped the entire planet. We get caught up in headlines. We get caught up in Facebook posts. We get caught up in a bunch of bullshit that the main thing that it does is stresses us out to no end, terrorizes us. And so these very simple and very effective, scientifically shown, peer-reviewed, studied activities that are known to boost your immune system, we almost by default don't participate in. Greetings, Sarah. Okay, so I'm not going to make this a very long video, but it is going to be relatively thorough. So I have some technological limitations here at the house, and so I'm not going to be able to quote from the studies that I sought out today to validate my statement. However, every last one of them I did post on my Facebook page, on my homepage. So after or during watching this video, you can go through my homepage and see every single article that I listed that helped. Each one was backed by a peer-reviewed study that had been conducted to show that these are, in fact, proven ways to boost your immune system. I want to make a disclaimer, however. Even though I have a background in both Western and Eastern medicine, the only reason that I support and always put forward the fact that these studies that I have sought out are, quote, peer-reviewed, scientifically proven studies is because we live in a society that tends to demote the significance of indigenous and traditional medicine from around the world. So what our ancestors have known for 6,000 plus years in terms of these particular activities, it's not proven effective or somehow valid until a white guy in a white coat in a white lab under controlled circumstances says, okay, yes, they actually knew what they were talking about, and here are the results. So both being both left brain and right brain, wanting to know the why for everything, and I understand that we live in a Western society. That is why I make such an issue about providing peer-reviewed journals and articles to validate what I am about to tell you. So without further ado, I'm going to list them, and then we're going to talk about each one of them. These are the 7 life-saving, immune-building, immune-boosting activities that can rescue you from this terrible terrorist called the coronavirus. Number 1, dancing. Number 2, singing. Number 3, fucking. Number 4, showering. Number 5, fasting. Number 6, napping. And number 7, juicing. That's simple. And in this list of 7, highly elusive, very undercover remedies for this situation. And I'm trying to bring humor to this situation because, I missed one. How did I miss it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know how I missed it. So there's 8. I added one at the end. That's what happened. Laughing is the main one. So what happens is when you are gripped with terror, when you are preoccupied by fear and frustration, anger, resentment, rage, right? Worry, all of these things that have been facilitated by our glorious objective media and our bipartisan and caring government, none of these things become an issue that we consider or a factor that we consider as a way to help secure ourselves from contracting this terrible virus, right? So when we're gripped by fear, we're not really interested in dancing or laughing or singing or fucking or showering, maybe, I don't know, fasting, napping, and juicing. So I felt like, because I have been deliberately evading the news and even Facebook headlines that have been talking about this virus for a couple of months now. And so the last maybe 7 days, I was like, all right, I can't avoid it anymore. Let me just read what the CDC is saying about this particular disease. Let me see what the experts are saying. And then let me develop my own personal method of how I am going to secure myself from this disease. Okay. So I just watched at about 3:00 this morning an interview with Dr. Sanjay Gupta, who is a medical advisor for the United States government and very popular, I might add, very good looking physician. And the title of the interview was, what was the title of the interview? It was Panic, something to the effect of panic, shit. But it basically, he was just panic should not be our default or something to that effect. So basically he was just giving us a rundown of the things that we need to know about the coronavirus, who should actually be concerned about contracting the virus, and what is the prognosis if you come in contact with the virus. So I just really appreciated it because, again, when we are gripped with terror and fear, we don't think logically, we don't behave rationally, and I really just respected how he came to the table and just really attempted to reduce the irrationality around this virus. So one of the things that he talked about right out of the gate was the primary population that should be of some concern with the contraction of this virus is the elderly population. And that is, he specified by saying, if you're 70 or older, then you should be concerned. However, if you're under 70 and you have serious underlying conditions such as hypertension, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, then the virus could be of some concern. The reason that the virus could be of some concern is with these underlying conditions, you do have some level of immunosuppression. That's all. If you are a healthy person, If you are relatively active and have no underlying conditions, even if you come into contact with the coronavirus, there is no guarantee that you're going to develop the sickness. And if you do, however, develop the sickness, your immune function should be sufficient to fight off the disease and you survive just like you would a flu or a common cold. Okay? So I want to preface this with that statement. So panic, stress, frustration, rage, resentment, all of the things that are being propagated in the media around this virus are the very things that create immunosuppression, and attack the immune system, not demolish, but diminish the effectiveness of the immune system. So when we get ready to, fight the disease, we go out in a panic and we buy everything off the shelves that we can buy, totally losing sight of the things that we have at our disposal to boost our immune system and pay absolutely nothing. So let's talk about these 8 items on my list of things that can boost your immune system that have been scientifically shown, investigated, studied, and proven in peer-reviewed journals and articles to boost your immune system. Let's talk about it. So, and I'm going on a diatribe because I want you guys to be like lighthearted. I want you to laugh. I want you to be excited about this information because even while I may say an explicative every now and again, this is real fucking talk. Like this is the thing that we have to remember all the time, not just when we're gripped in this new, thing with the coronavirus, but in general. In daily life. And I'm going to talk about something else too, because I'm going to refer to this book that I just spent 5 months on the damn internet reading to you guys, because this is what that book is talking about. It is about the fact that we have grown accustomed to accepting that we as human beings have no right to live a life of ecstasy, to live a life of pure joy and happiness, right? These are the things that create ecstasy and happiness and joy. And lo and behold, they are the same things that fortify our ability to fight disease. Go figure. All right. So dancing. So again, I really like my technological restraints here are frustrating. However, we can talk at least minimally. And again, for those that are just tuning in, I will just tell you that on my Facebook page, on my homepage, you can go to you can just basically scroll down for like the last 3 hours. And I have been posting article after article after article that verifies or validates this list of 8 things that can boost your immune system and that are free and easy to do. And most of them are extremely fun to do. Okay, so the first, I'll repeat the list. So the list is dancing, singing, fucking, showering, fasting, napping, juicing, and laughing. Go on my homepage, click on the articles, whatever. So dancing. For obvious reasons, dancing is a great immune booster. Primarily, it boosts the immune system because, one, it engages the lymphatic system. So let me just tell you a little bit about the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is not like your cardiovascular system. The cardiovascular system, the arteries and the veins and the heart muscle, all along the arterial walls are little muscles that help push the blood through the body and back to the heart, through the body and back to the heart. Unlike the cardiovascular system, the vessels of the lymphatic system do not have muscles that force the fluid to and from the limbs and back, right? So with the lymphatic system, you have lymph nodes. You have areas that where the nodes exist in the back of the head here, and in the throat, around the thymus gland, in the armpits, all throughout the digestive system, all throughout the large and small intestines, in the growing region, and in the back of the knees and in the ankles, right? Well, what gets the lymphatic fluid flowing is certain activities. very specific activities, right? That basically force the fluid throughout the lymphatic system. So some of the activities that have been shown to help that fluid move throughout the lymphatic system have been rebounding. That's been really popular. Rebounding is just like getting a little trampoline and jumping up and down on the trampoline. That gets the fluid moving through the lymphatic system. Fasting, actually, which is on my list, has been shown to stimulate the flow of lymph. There are several items on this list, actually, that are huge lymphatic movers, lymph stimulators, right? So I'll talk about some other activities that you can do to move the lymphatic fluid, thereby increasing your immune function. Okay. But dancing is one of those things. Dancing helps to engage the lymphatic system. Dancing also, is what's the word I'm looking for? It has been shown to increase respiratory efficiency, which is really important for people who live in a climate like mine, though you wouldn't know that for the last few days because it's been raining like hell, but we live in the desert. Plus we live in LA where the air quality in general is shit, right? Even with all the, the environmental precautions that they've taken over the last 20 years, we still have high smog days, stuff like that. So people who live in areas like mine that are heavily polluted or extremely dry or really, that cause a lot of strain on the respiratory system. And I'm talking about the respiratory system because the coronavirus has said that's one of the primary, symptoms of the disease is respiratory distress, shortness of breath, what have you. Okay. Dancing is shown to increase respiratory integrity. Okay. So, lymphatic booster, which is your immune system, part of your immune system, and increasing respiratory integrity. Okay. Plus it strengthens the heart. It, makes the cardiovascular system more limber, more nimble. Plus it just makes you feel freaking good. You feel awesome after you go dancing for an hour. The disclaimer, however, is if you decide that you're going to go dancing this week, don't go. I know it's hard because I go dancing and I want to drink, right? But if you're going to go dancing this weekend or over the next 2 weeks while this scare is still going on, try to have non-alcoholic beverages as opposed to alcohol. Alcohol decreases the immune function. Dancing boosts the immune function. So when you go out to the club and you go dancing, most places are non-smoking on the interior anyway. So you don't have to worry about that. But at least, get yourself some lemon juice in a seltzer or something like that. That will also boost your immune system. Okay. Next thing is singing. So there's an article that I posted on my Facebook page that was a long study that has been cited several times, where they were investigating the effect of singing on cancer patients. Now, obviously, cancer patients, especially if they're in treatment, are extremely immunosuppressed, right? They're going through chemotherapy, they're going through radiation, they're probably depressed, stressed out, right? Frustrated, resentful. And so what they did was they took a group of patients and put them in choir. And what they discovered were noticeable markers in noticeable increases in their immune markers after an hour of singing in choir, right? So I have not read anything other than that one particular study, but I know that was significant. So singing boosts your immune system. So, okay, fine. You're not going to go to an open mic or you're not going to jump on some stage somewhere. Maybe I say, go ahead and do it. But at least you can sing in your shower. You can sing in your car. You can go in your backyard, make somebody uncomfortable. But singing has been shown to increase your immune markers. Okay. The third one, which is my favorite, is fucking. And I swear, this shit that we are going through, I'm telling you, I know people are not having sex. It's a shame. It's a crime against humanity is what I tell you. That sex, there's one article that I think I posted 3 different articles on the health benefits of a healthy sex life, right? There was one article that listed 50 health benefits to a regular healthy sex life. Okay? So like, yes. And in one particular article, it was entitled nine things that you didn't know that sex was good for. It cited a study, this particular article cited a study that showed that people who had a regular, healthy sex life decreased their sick days by some astronomical amount, right? So have more sex, take more days off, take less days off, right? I'm paraphrasing, but that's the gist of it. So less sick days when you have a healthy sex life, less depression, a healthier sense of self, right? Huge increases, measurable increases in immune function with a healthy sex life. So by God, whatever your bag is, and no judgment, whatever your bag is, just make sure that bag is full of sex, full of fucking, okay? Because it, more than anything on this list, is probably going to rescue your ass. All right. Showering. Now, this is not just getting in the shower for 15, 20, 30 minutes, however you want. This is a very specific thing. This is hydrotherapy. So the type of showering that boosts your immune system, again, goes back to the function of the lymphatic system and its role in immune function. The type of showering that I'm talking about are 2 types. One is hot, cold alternating showers, and 2 is straight cold showers. So the first one is the one that I do. I've been doing regularly since I learned about it, because it is an extraordinarily easy, totally free way to make sure that you give your immune system a little boost before you walk out of the house every morning. So hot cold showering is this. And this is with any hydrotherapy, but particularly this one. So as I was mentioning earlier with the lymphatic system needs kind of like help. So exercise helps the lymphatic system, because when your muscles are contracting, it's squeezing the vessels and forcing the fluid through the vessels to the lymph nodes and back out to the extremities, right? When you do yoga, the same thing. When you rebound, you're just by force of gravity, you're forcing the fluid up and down these vessels. Well, with with alternating hot and cold showers, what happens is, because hot water or heat is vasodilating and cold is vasoconstricting. What vaso is means veins. It stands for veins or vessels, right? So arteries and veins and vessels, lymphatic vessels. So the heat opens up the vessels, right? The cold narrows the vessels. So when you are doing an alternating hot and cold shower, and what that means is you start with heat and you want the heat as hot as you can stand it. It opens up the blood vessels. The blood flows freely. The lymphatic fluid flows freely, right? This is not only good for the lymphatic vessels, it's also a really good treatment for the cardiovascular system, okay? So when you shower with the heat as hot as you can take it, it opens up all of the vessels, blood vessels and the lymphatic vessels. Then when you switch very quickly to cold, all the way cold, right? The veins, arteries, and vessels of the lymphatic system narrow. And then you turn the heat back up to as much as you can stand it, and it opens up the vessels. And then you put on the cold again and it narrows. And you do this several times, 3 to 5 times, right? And what that does is imitate like a pump, an artificial pump that begins to narrow and open, squeezing the lymphatic fluid from the extremities to the nodes, back out to the extremities to the nodes, increasing immune function. Okay. So this is a really easy, totally free, except for your water bill, way to boost your immune function is to do alternating hot and cold baths. So the method of application is you start with hot and you end with cold. You always, any hydrotherapy, you start with hot, you end with cold. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to be under the hot water for 1 minute, approximately a minute. Okay. Then you want to be under the cold water for approximately 30 seconds. Then you want to again be under the hot water for approximately a minute and under the cold water for approximately 30 seconds. Again, you're going to do the round between hot and cold at 3 to 5 times, beginning on hot, ending on cold. That is basically essentially as effective at boosting your immune system as a 1-hour massage. Okay? See how easy that is? And then you can do other things. There are other types of really wonderful hydrotherapies, which I love. Hydrotherapies, particularly hyperthermia. So hyperthermia is basically a type of hydrotherapy that forces your body into a mild fever, because fever, the increase of the body's temperature, is a way to get the immuno actions of the bodies engaged, right? So there are so many really awesome types of hyperthermia hydrotherapies. And if you're interested in those, if you're interested in how to administer those, most of them are self-administered. There are 1 or 2 where you might need help, but they're easy to do and crazy effective, even for the flu, even for pneumonia. Amazing shit. Okay. If you're interested, you can inbox me and I can tell you how to administer hypothermia on yourself, especially in this flu season period. Okay. So that's the showering. That's it. Alternating hot and cold therapy. Begin with hot, always end with cold. And the last thing I want to say about that, the reason that you end in cold, we think about showers. We take a hot shower. It feels wonderful. Then we get out the shower, after this hot shower, and our vessels, our pores are wide open. Okay. So if it's winter time and we get out of the shower into our cold environment and our vessels are wide open, it actually leaves us open and more susceptible to flus, colds, what have you. So it's just a general good practice to end your hot shower with a little bit of cold, 30 seconds of cold, to close those vessels so no wind invades the vessels, causing colds and other mishaps. That's just an aside. So the next thing is fasting. So we've all read the articles over the last few years, I'm sure, of the studies that have been done that have shown the general rule of thumb is 3 days of fasting can actually reboot the entire immune system. So let me just say that the immune system is not, it's this kind of broad term that incorporates several different organ functions, and several different, so let me just try to be as clear as I can. Okay. So we've heard about how we've heard numbers like 80 to 90, generally it's around 72% of our immune function rests in our small and large intestines. Okay. One of the reasons is what I mentioned before, is we have so many lymphatic vessels that are centered in our gut. The other thing that I won't get into, but it's one of my personal favorite topics. Oh my God. It's the vagus nerve. It's called the Great Wanderer. It's a facial nerve that is just, it's facial nerve that is just so amazing. And our ancestors knew about it, and it's just wonderful. I won't go into maybe that'll be a discussion for another day, but the vagus nerve, oh Lord, it's just so wonderful, so magical. Anyway, so part of your immune function is what happens in your gut. That is why probiotics, prebiotics, plenty of water, B vitamins, especially B6 and B12 are so important because they have so much to do with what's going on in the gut, right? Fiber. I cannot say enough about it. If you do not have enough bulk in your diet to keep the bad guys at bay, you have shit for an immune system. Pardon the pun, but you have shit for an immune system. So, yeah, up your fiber intake, however that looks. I have a video that shows you how to daily add fiber to your diet, and also it's kind of like a colon cleanse. You can just find that on YouTube. Just type in my name, Iyapo. It's like one of the few videos that I've posted. But fiber plays such an enormous role in a healthy, functioning immune system because of the role that it plays not only in the gut itself, but in the feeding. I hear people talk all the time about eating probiotics, yogurt, probiotics, and nobody talks about the fact that probiotics are living creatures that need to eat. And they also have poop. They have give off, right? Their give off is beneficial to us, primarily vitamin K. So when you're taking probiotics, but you don't have any prebiotics in your diet, you eat 5 fucking grams of fiber a day, right? Yeah. You are opposed to vegetables. You hate vegetables. You don't eat anything that has any kind like sauerkraut or kimchi or any fermented food. You are not feeding the probiotics that you're consuming. And as far as I'm concerned, you're pissing your money in the wind. You can be eating probiotics till you're blue in the face, and it's still not going to do for you what it needs to do for you unless you are feeding the good guys, right? That is the role of fiber, among many roles. So anyway, that's part of your immune system, right? The lymphatic vessels, the lymphatic system is part of your immune system, right? But also, I don't want to go into a long diatribe about it because obviously this shit is my bag, but the whole, like our perception of the world and our response to our perception of the world, which primarily has to do with the endocrine system, okay, has so much to do with our immune system. And the evidence is in this list that I'm telling you, right? We hear things about like feel-good neurotransmitters like dopamine and so on, right? We hear about bad responses like cortisol and how it can increase belly fat. All of that scientific, technological jargon is very simple. It is about our perception of the world around us and our chemical, biological response to it. That's all. That's why having road rage is going to increase your belly fat around your organs. That's why people who are quick to temper have, a higher risk of cardiovascular disease and dying from cardiovascular events. It is still that simple. What we see in the world, how we perceive it, and how it chemically and biologically affects us. That's it. So that's why this list is so brilliant, is because, again, it is forcing ourselves to perceive our world differently so that we have a different chemical response to the world around us. So fasting does so much, right? Fasting has been shown. Fasting, exercise, and rebounding are the only 3 activities that we can do that have been shown to produce human growth hormone. So we go out, we hear about all these people like buying human growth hormone or, doing this crazy shit when all you have to do is fast, rebound, or, and REM state sleep, deep REM state sleep, which most of us don't experience because we are on our phones until fucking 12 o'clock in the morning. We wake up through the night to check our phones. So deep REM state sleep, fasting, rebounding are the primary ways that you can produce endogenously, meaning you produce it yourself, life-saving, cancer-fighting, disease-ridding, disease-preventing human growth hormone. Okay? So the general rule of thumb is that fasting, and I am not a proponent of water fasting. I don't think many people in like holistic or medical health professions are proponents of water fasting anymore, just because we don't live in an environment that is really conducive to that. I mean, some people do it. That's cool if that's your bag. But for us, we don't live in an environment that is as healthy as it was 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago. We are inundated on a daily basis with upwards of 52,000 synthetic toxins that have proliferated the environment. And so to fast on water alone is to create an extreme burden on the liver, in my personal opinion. And so when I talk about fasting, I'm talking about juice fasting. I'm talking about still taking in adequate nutrients to facilitate the detox without the faster's crisis that comes typically with that. So fasting, according to several studies, has been shown, 3 days of fasting has been shown to basically regenerate the entire immune system, of which I just talked to you about, whether it's through the gut, the lymphatic vessels, what have you. Okay. So I won't go into too much detail about that. Again, those that are just tuning in, all of these articles that I'm referencing are listed on my homepage. Next is napping. So I love naps. And I have mastered the art of napping. When I was in medical school, there was a couch in the hallway. So at the top of every hour, we had 15 minutes to just take a break, use the bathroom, get some water before our next class. And I would go every class without fail and lay supine on this couch and go to sleep. I would set my phone alarm clock and get up totally refreshed and able to do my full day of classes and my clinical rotations. And people used to ask me all the time, like, how the fuck do you do that? Like, you literally lay down and you are asleep in 30 seconds and you are really asleep. Like, you are hardcore asleep. It's called having children. If truth be told, I mastered the art of power naps when I had a baby. But anyway, so there are several studies that have shown the multiplicity of benefits of taking anywhere from 20 to 30-minute naps in the day. However, the disclaimer is if you nap longer than that, it actually can be a disservice, right? You can be groggy, you can lack focus and attention. So the general rule of thumb is 15 to 30 minutes, with the ideal nap time being 20 minutes to boost immune function, to increase clarity and thinking and focus, to increase energy levels, to boost your disposition, right? So napping, I won't go any more into that. Juicing, I guess, is tied to the fasting. So even if you're not going to fast, you can add juices to your daily diet to boost your immune system. Obviously, there are some things that I think that most of the people that are watching this are aware of. Adding, a quarter of a teaspoon of turmeric to a juice, ginger to every juice, regardless, because juicing is cold and it can actually damage the spleen if it's too cold. So you want to add a little piece of ginger to every juice that you do anyway. That's my personal opinion. Or black pepper or cayenne pepper, something warm to warm the constitution of the cold juice. So there are kale and celery and any number of juices, all things green. Apple is great because of the pectin. And again, that has to do with the immune function that's centered in the gut. So any number of those things. And if you're into teas, you can always juice and like dilute it with tea. You can dilute your juice, or you can add your tinctures to your juices, any number of things to help boost your immune system. So juicing, that's pretty self-explanatory. And then last but definitely not least is laughing. There are so many studies that have been done on the benefits of laughing, and we don't pay attention, right? We just don't pay attention. So I referenced earlier in the video that I posted on YouTube about how there's this wonderful, wonderful woman who really is responsible for why we have a lot of the studies on the benefits of touch, right? So for a long time, people of color in particular have been talking about the benefits of massage and the benefits of laying of hands and all of these benefits of, meditation and yoga and all of this stuff. But because we don't have this governing body that can infuse hundreds of millions of dollars into research, all we had were antidotes, thousands and thousands of years of antidotes, however. But all we had was antidotes to talk about the benefits of these therapies that are ancient to us. Well, Tiffany Fields is a woman who wanted to understand the scientific basis behind a lot of these antidotes. So she was really the vanguard for finding the funding to get these studies done. And the work, oh my God, the work that she has done at the Touch Institute at the University of Miami is just, it's just nothing short of amazing. I mean, they did study, like I actually had to write an article on one of the studies that they did, which was the effects of massage on premature and preterm babies. Oh my God. It's just such an awesome goddamn article. And then there was another study that was done on the effectiveness. Oh, so you can read about a lot of these studies in a book called Mind, Body, Health. It's a textbook, so it probably is a little expensive, but a lot of Tiffany Fields' research, or a lot of the research that she helped find the funding for, is in this book, Mind and Body Health. But she talked about the effectiveness of support groups. It was really fascinating about how she took cancer patients that were in remission, and she divided them. The study divided them into cancer patients who were in remission and just relied solely on their families for emotional support. And then she took cancer patients in remission who relied primarily on support groups for emotional support. And the outcome was outrageous. The life expectancy of the support group was far more. I think the average was like 5 to 10 years longer than that of the group that only relied on family for support, for emotional support. Just really goddamn exciting work that is happening at the Touch Institute at the University of Miami. Laughing is one of these studies that was conducted, among other places, at the Touch Institute. And so one of the things that they came to understand as a consequence of some of these studies is that the chemical effects, the biological responses that happen as a consequence of one bout of belly laughter, the big crack up. One bout of belly laughter boosts the immune system for 3 days. On the contrary, one incidence of stress, you getting mad at the guy on the highway for cutting you off, right? One incidence of stress suppresses the immune system for 7 days. So it behooves us to laugh more than we're stressed. And that's just not the case. There's another study that says the average American experiences 50 stressful events a day. So we're already at a goddamn deficit, if you think about it that way. How often do you laugh as opposed to how often you're stressed out? So to me, having a list like this gives us the challenge to flip our daily norm from that of one that is highly stressful, highly reactive, highly frustrated, highly worrisome, right? To one that says, okay, which of these things on this list of 8 am I going to engage in today to shift my shit? to boost my immune system, to give me the one up on any number of diseases that decides it's going to emerge and attempt to take us all the fuck out. Okay? So I will go over the list again just to list it. And then again, I will tell you that all of the articles that are referenced are on my homepage. It would behoove you to read through them because this was a very short version of really great articles that I feel like this has to be the new diet. This has to be the new, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember. But this has to be, this is the thing that we have to put out. The media is always going to put out stress and frustration and fear and worry and resentment and anger and rage, right? And I just want to make two more references before I go. So for those of you who had been paying attention, I had spent, I think, 5 months reading a book called The Great Cosmic Mother, Rediscovering the Religion of the Earth. And in this book by Monica Soju and Barbara Moore, she talked over and over and over again about the difference between how we live now and how humankind developed for 300 to 500,000 years of the hunting-gathering epoch, and why under matriarchal, matrilineal, matrifocal societies, and what is the difference and how is it affecting us as human beings. And one of the things that she talks about over and over again, very specifically, is the absence of ecstasy. She talks about how even during the period when we're coming out of the hunting and gathering epoch and we're learning agriculture, we're learning that putting a seed in the ground or spitting a seed on the ground will yield fruit in a year, right? And so now we become agrarian and agriculturalist, and we learn how to work with the sun and the moon and the water and the rain cycles to grow our food. And we become stationary instead of, following the herds. That everything that we did was a dance. Everything that we did was a prayer. Everything that we did together was an expression of gratitude for the earth that continues to provide limitlessly to fulfill our needs. That is what ecstasy is to this communal gathering of energy and of song and of dance. And I'm going to tell you something. Even in the most despairing periods of history, you can see a glimmer of that ancient way that we did. When you look at enslaved Africans in the South singing in the fields as they're gathering, as they're harvesting, as they're planting, as they're laboring, seeing captured Africans during the convict prison leasing era in the early 1900s up through the 1950s, singing while they're building the railroads or clearing the swamps, right? That is a defunct memory of what we did in joy and in ecstasy and collective building and collective yielding and collective creativity, right? And so these items are central to what we had been doing for scores of thousands of years. The singing, the dancing, the praising, the fucking, the loving, the fasting, right? All things done in gratitude to the mother. All things done in worship of she who gives us everything, right? And then the other thing, so I just really want to put that out, that these things cannot be seen in isolation as far as I'm concerned, because the sickness, the madness that we are confronted with as human beings, man, is not going to be solved in separation. This forced isolation, this self-isolation, imagine this madness that we're confronted with right now has us, okay, so I know my mom ain't watching, so that's why I can say this. So my daughter was telling me that my mom was concerned about me coming home to participate in my daughter having her son next week because of the fear mongering imposed through that goddamn television about this fucking virus. Imagine the madness that has us saying that we don't want to be close to family or friends because of the fear of this virus doing what? Making us sick? And then we get better, just like if we had the flu or the chicken pox or any other thing. But because we believe the hype, we just don't behave rationally. And that is the last thing that we need in this period is isolation. That is the last thing that we need in this period is panic. That is the last thing that we need in this period is distress and trauma for, some make-believe crisis. I'm not saying that the virus is not real and it's not having an impact, but I am saying, does the impact match the response that we are giving, that we are experiencing? The other thing I want to say is this, and I'm always going to remind people because we have to seize the opportunity to take advantage of energy. So leading up to January 12th of 2020, I've been talking about I'm not an astrologer, but I pay attention to astrology. And so all these astrologers have been talking about the significance of this period of the celestial event, the stellium that occurred on January 12th, 2020, and how it was the pivotal point that could take us in one of two directions: back into the madness of the old ways, oppression and colonialism and degradation and patriarchy, or we could seize the opportunity through vibrating higher, through changing our goddamn emotional focus to the possibilities of artists being able to be wealthy, of humans being able to be abundant, of poverty being a thing of the past. But if we concede, if we accept this old vicious ass media's interpretation of things, then we will be participating in thrusting ourselves backwards into history. The significance of the stellium, I won't go into it a lot. You can go over to old videos, but the significance of the stellium, that particular stellium, was that 500 years prior, which was the last time that stellium occurred, was the year that slavery kicked off on the planet. Was the year that old nasty bastard called Martin Luther kicked in the doors of the church, the Roman Catholic Church, kicking off the Protestant Reformation of the church, which was one of the most terrible. The Catholicism in and of itself was awful. But the Protestant Reformation of the church had such long-standing, to this day, long-standing impact on Africans, on indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere, particularly in North America. It was a game-changing year that has set the terms for the last 500 years. We have the ability to maximize, and governments plan around these stelliums, by the way. Everything that we're experiencing has been orchestrated to maximize off the power created by these planetary bodies and their impact on ours. And we have not collectivized enough to understand that we too have to be maximizing on this energy. And we cannot do it if we are frantic, if we're panicking, if we're not fucking, if we're not singing, if we're not dancing, if we're not doing ritual, if we're not praying, right? If we are not focusing our sights on what we want humanity to look like right goddamn now. Not 50 years from now, not 100 years from now. Well, maybe one of these days, it'll be nice, No. How do we want the world to look right now and manifest that right now? Right now. And we have the opportunity to do that. Everything that we do in this year. I was just reading this magazine today about all of the many things that happened in the 1920s. Yo! We are 100 years from one of the most epic decades in our recent history. So I just feel like we have to capitalize off this energy. We have to capitalize off keeping our frequency high all the time. Yes, that shit hard. I get demoralized too. You understand? My money be funny sometimes. I get in my feelings. People get on my nerves every now and again. But guess what? I have a list of things that I can refer to and be like, you know what? I'm going to create a great day. I don't care if it's raining outside. I'm about to go dance in this rain really quick. I'm going to go post up on the beach and watch the surfers or whatever your bag is. But I just feel like we have to be deliberate in seizing ownership of the power that we all have. That's all I have to say for tonight. I'll run down the list really quick. Please go on to my homepage, read the articles. I swear they're a game changer. If you just read one, it's going to totally change your mindset for the evening. Hell, probably for the rest of the week. And I'll say, whoever's going to throw the party, that's going to have a comedian, and is going to have great juices available, and maybe some little corner couches where we can catch a power nap when we get tired from the dope ass DJ that's spinning the hot joints. You understand? If we dancing our asses off, don't know about the showering, maybe not public fucking, but an orgy is not out of the question as far as I'm concerned. And not going to necessarily be fasting, but I'm just saying, let's get this shit to cracking. We have a list now. Dancing, singing, fucking, showering, fasting, napping, juicing, and laughing will save your life quicker than Purell. This is IyapoNgina, also known as the Rogue Black Girl. I'll talk to you later.